Artificial intelligence explained to me in a summary I requested of it how to properly care for a lawn. Nascar is returning to the LA Coliseum, and a fire broke out at the Andersons storage facility. All of that and more on this episode of the Cherish Each Moment podcast. Welcome to another episode. Glad to have you here. Got a shorter one for you today. I am getting ready to step into holiday mode. So with that said, we need a break. I need a break. It's not you, it's me. If you haven't heard, there is a company called OpenAI, and they have a program called ChatGPT. I don't know why I always get that wrong. ChatGPT. And it's essentially an open dialogue with an artificial intelligence. You go on the website, you log in, you create an account, and you basically have a chat with this artificial intelligence. You can ask it to return anything like, write me a paper about the history of podcasting. And it will do it immediately, right in front of you. There's a lot of really fascinating examples out there that really showcase what this software is capable of. And it's only going to continue to get better and more sophisticated. Really pretty impressive stuff. I asked it to give me a summary of how to care for a lawn, because that's really what the first thing that comes to mind is for me. And I think that's a pretty good test to see what it can do. And within literally a matter of seconds, you watch it essentially type out the response, kind of like someone has taken over the screen. This is what it returned. To take care of a lawn, follow these steps. 1. Mow the lawn regularly. Mowing the lawn helps to keep the grass at a consistent height, which is important for the health of the grass. Aim to mow the lawn at least once a week and adjust the mowing height depending on the type of grass and the season. 2. Water the lawn. Proper watering is essential for the health of the lawn. Water the lawn deeply and infrequently, aiming to provide about 1 inch of water per week. Avoid overwatering, as this can lead to excess growth and a greater risk of pests and diseases. 3. Fertilize the lawn. Fertilizing the lawn helps to provide the necessary nutrients for healthy growth. Use a balanced fertilizer and follow the recommended application rate and frequency for the type of grass you have. 4. Control weeds. Weeds can compete with grass for nutrients and water, so it's important to control them. Use a herbicide specifically designed for lawns to kill weeds or pull them out by hand. 5. Aerate the lawn. Aerating the lawn helps to improve the soil structure and promote healthy root growth. Use a garden fork or aerator machine to make small holes in the soil. 6. Repair damaged areas. If you have bare or thin patches in your lawn, reseed or lay sod to repair the damaged areas. By following these steps, you can help to keep your lawn healthy and looking its best. Pretty impressive, right? I thought this was really accurate and really simple information. Also kind of scary. What's really stood out to me here were the similarities in well-known phrases that are used to teach these principles, like deep and infrequent watering and mentioning 1 inch of water per week. That's right on the money. And I don't disagree with anything in this summary. Even the mowing. it doesn't just say mow once a week. It says aim to mow the lawn at least once a week. Meaning if you can, get a second mow in, which you should. Like anything, I see pros and cons to this. Information is now literally at our fingertips, and I think this is more impressive than even just a regular Google search. Give it a try. I'm sure many students are already attempting to use this for writing their term papers. I'll leave a link in the description for you to check it out, and would be curious to know what you come up with. Nascar is returning to the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum in February. Earlier this year, I had a lot of fun covering the steps the grounds crew at the stadium took to prepare the venue for the inaugural event, and I can imagine the process is pretty much the same this year. I found an article from SpeedwayDigest.com. It says, NASCAR proved earlier this year it could quickly build a temporary racetrack inside the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum and stage an event unlike any other. On Thursday morning, it left no doubt that it's ready to do it again. NASCAR broke ground on the reconstruction of its quarter-mile asphalt track inside the iconic Los Angeles venue as preparations kick into high gear for the 2023 Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum. Kyle Larson, the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion, joined NASCAR and Coliseum officials to mark the occasion as excitement accelerates for NASCAR's Los Angeles return on Sunday, February 5th. Aside from a brief holiday break, construction crews will now work around the clock to prepare the quarter-mile asphalt oval for the most anticipated sequel in racing. In the coming days, workers will place and grade 9,200 cubic yards of aggregate and fill material atop 130,000 square feet of visqueen and plywood that covers United Airlines Field. Paving should begin January 4th, and the installation of barriers and fencing from Auto Club Speedway and the Long Beach Grand Prix is scheduled to commence 2 days later. By January 20th, all the safer barriers should be installed and painted as final preparations begin for the arrival of NASCAR Cup Series teams during the first week of February. Pretty amazing that so much work can be done so quickly for an event that only lasts a couple days. And then before you know it, it's like the track was never there. I believe after this year's event, crews began demo work on the track the day after the race was over. They got right to it. They had, if I remember right, they had some kind of event. I can't remember what sport, but the Coliseum was hosting another event. They had to get the track out of there and get the grass somewhat ready for that event. I've personally been to the Coliseum, and it is a sight to behold, whether there's a racetrack there or a football field. I was able to catch some of the racing action this year on TV and hope to catch some of it again in February when it comes back. Very, very cool to watch, very cool to see. Such a neat venue and such a unique and very quickly built racetrack. Very, very neat. Even if you don't like NASCAR or car racing, it's a pretty cool thing what they're doing there, and I think that it would be cool to see how other venues would handle such an event or similar events too, as far as, taking care of the grass and things like that. And I think of like big pro football stadiums even that are capable of removing the grass without damaging it, like thinking about the Raiders Stadium in Las Vegas, where the grass is on its own platform that's moved in and out of the facility at will, pretty much. The grass is grown outside and maintained outside, and then before game days, they have the field, the platform essentially on motors, and it's moved into the facility for the game. Facilities like that would be perfect because you don't have to worry about covering up the field like they're doing here at the Coliseum. You just move the field outside where it normally is, and then you have all this free room and less work to do to put in a racetrack or whatever. Pretty cool. So that's definitely something I'm going to be looking out for, and something that I'm going to look forward to taking a look at and watching. And I want to see if this year I can get more information on what they're doing to recover the grass after, if they're installing turf or if they're reseeding, what they end up doing here. I think that's really going to be where my attention is and what I'm most interested in, to see how the grounds crew recovers from that. So going to keep an eye out for that and see what happens. But pretty exciting event. Got some pretty scary news to share. The other day, I was made aware, somebody sent me a direct message on Twitter asking me if I've heard about what had happened, and I hadn't. It just didn't pop up in the different ways that I get my information, my news. It's mostly through social media outlets and things like that. I try to follow, as many different accounts as possible to make sure that I have a nice spread and a nice coverage of ongoing things. But this one I didn't see. So glad to have been made aware of this. The other day, a grain silo at the Andersons Corporation facility caught on fire, and it was a pretty significant fire. Listen to this. This is the news report.
In Saginaw County had a long night battling a massive fire in Hemlock.
It happened just after 10 Sunday night at the Andersons Incorporated, located on South Hemlock Road.
TV5's James Felton reports the fire chief says it might be a lengthy investigation into what caused the fire.
29 different departments on scene.
And more than 100 firefighters worked through the night, doing their best to knock down flames coming from this grain silo. The Andersons Incorporated in Hemlock, the site of the fire, which began just after 10 p.m. Sunday. Richland Township Fire Chief Jeremy Scott tells us some residents were evacuated from their homes for a couple of hours out of an abundance of caution.
Grain fires, oftentimes, if we can't vent it, or it doesn't vent, can be combustible.
In all, crews from Saginaw, Midland, Gratiot, and Genesee counties showed up to fight the fire, a fire that is still burning.
The main challenges we've faced today were simply the height of the facility. We were prepared for it with aerial ladders. We have multiple aerial ladders out there and running right now.
Scott tells us the cause of the fire is still under investigation because the flames have to be put out first. South Hemlock Road is closed from Gratiot to Doyle Road. A fire hydrant is also being used at the intersection of Gratiot and Orr Roads. Drivers are asked to avoid these areas. Scott says no one was hurt in the fire. He also told us it was unclear how long fire crews would be on site.
I don't have an exact time frame for the actual end of the scene. Right now, overhaul strategies are being put together so that we can ensure a safe and effective finality to it.
Reporting in Saginaw County, James Felton, WNEM, TV5.
There you go. Video shows pretty significant flames coming from the top of the silo. It looks like a pretty terrible loss, based on the footage that I've seen anyways. The information that I have to this point hasn't indicated what was burning in that silo. So it's unclear what products are going to be impacted from the damage taken. I know the initial reaction I've heard is that this is going to have a negative effect on fertilizer prices, especially, the Anderson's brand. And those prices are already increasing. Kind of talked about price increases in the last episode. I don't like to speculate too much into the unknown here, especially when we don't have all the details at this point. So for now, until I learn more, I'll refrain. The good news is that no one was hurt. I think that's what's most important here. But hopefully this doesn't have too much of a hit on fertilizer prices going down the road. I know the Andersons is a very popular brand. They have a lot of great products. And the Andersons manufactures fertilizer products for other brands as well. So just because you're buying from one brand doesn't mean that brand actually made the fertilizer. It's usually manufactured by another company. So hopefully that will be taken care of, and I'm sure the Andersons will rebuild and recover from that. Really no problem. As we go full send into the holiday season, I will be taking a short break, as I mentioned, and we'll be recording new episodes starting at the beginning of the year. Already have some topics to discuss in the works. Want to get some guests on the show again and really start going full throttle on this. I really like doing this. I like the feedback that I'm getting from it. I'm thankful that you're listening, and I hope that you enjoy it as much as I do producing it for you. I hope you and your family have a memorable and safe and happy holiday season and a Merry Christmas. As I said in my recent email, if you're not on my email list, I would invite you to subscribe to that. It is not even remotely close to being defined as spam. I try to make sure that it's valuable and useful tips and information in there. And I try to get them out weekly. So if you're not subscribed to the email list, there is a link in the description of this episode. You can follow that and subscribe. But as I said in my recent email, I, like many, spend a lot of time this time of year reflecting and feeling really thankful for what I have and what I enjoy in my life. I have a lot to be thankful for. Thank you for listening to this podcast and for following my journey as I share my crazy obsession with you. Whether you're just following along to the podcast, or if you follow the YouTube channel or any other social media outlets, thank you. This is a blast for me. I have so much fun doing this, and to be honest, I'm only just getting started. There's plenty more of this story yet to be written and yet to be shared. Sincerely, thank you so much for your support, and I will look forward to sharing more with you in 2023. Can't believe it, 2023. How about that? But that's going to wrap up this episode of the show. Told you it was a short one. Thank you so much for listening again and cherishing these moments with me. I hope if you've made it this far, you'll consider subscribing to the show on whatever platform you choose to listen if you haven't already. Please also consider following me on all of my other social media channels, linked in the description. Until next time, see ya.